WRSR, Owasso, Flint. The following program has been pre-recorded and is paid for by Discover Flint Township. The views expressed are those of Discover Flint Township and do not necessarily reflect the views of 103.9 The Fox or Krill Communications, Inc. Welcome to Discover Flint Township, a program showcasing our local community. Flint Township is ready for your next move. And now, your host, Flint Township Economic Enhancement Director, Tracy Tucker.
I'm Tracy Tucker, and this is Discover Flint Township, brought to you by Flint Township Economic Development Authorities, HAP, Financial Plus Credit Union, Shea Automotive Group, and 103.9 The Fox. We're wide awake, and we hope you are too. We have a special guest with us today, and I think Dionne's going to stick around with us, so
Absolutely,
in case she
I'd
has
love
some
to.
questions too. We have Pastor Rob Prince here from
Central
Church of the Nazarene. Well, I've never called it Flint Central. I always call it Central Church of the Nazarene. But they call it Flint Central Church of the Nazarene, and it's Pastor Rob Prince, and he's here to tell us about, we've got some special happenings going on there. So why don't you tell everyone what your role is there, Pastor?
I'm the lead pastor there. Been there since 2013.
Oh my gosh. So you've been there quite a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Year.
and so you've been there since, well, let's get into a little bit of the history of the church, because you're reaching a great milestone this year, 100 years, right, in the area?
Correct. We celebrated, actually it was in the middle of COVID, but so we moved our 100th year anniversary, will be our 101st year. We started in Flint in 1920.
Yeah. So you made it through the 100 years. That's
Yes,
Yay.
exactly.
So now you started out in the city of Flint, right?
Correct. It was a tent meeting across from what is now Flint City Hall, I think is where it started. Then they moved to 8th and Beach. We were there for about 40 years. Then they were building the highway, I-69 through there. The church was unsure if our church would be taken up by the highway.
Sure.
And we had outgrown the property, and so that's when they built on Bristol Road.
So you built out there in the 60s then?
Yeah, early 60s. Like
Oh my gosh.
1960s,
Yeah.
61.
So really the church there saw the growth of that area with housing and
I've seen pictures before. It was just a field. You can't imagine just a field on Bristol Road, but that's what it was.
Right. Yeah, because you wouldn't have had any of those subdivisions that are around there. I think the only one that would be there, it would be the one at the corner of Bristol and Fenton, which is affectionately called Little Missouri, because it was made up of GM workers that came up from the South. So
That's crazy. My grandparents came from Missouri in that time frame, actually.
Yeah.
That's
we had
insane.
there was a mass exodus from the South up here,
Yep.
and that was one of the communities there, and still a lot of people from the South live over there. Yeah, and now. So you moved over there in the 60s. Now, back in, I think it was in the 90s, you guys had terrible fire, right?
1996, the whole building burned down. Well, the whole building except for what was then our gym burned down. The church had to make a decision whether they were going to rebuild on that location or move elsewhere. They decided to stay with our neighborhood and rebuild, and that's what they did.
Wonderful, yeah. And then you built that extension building that's across, is that Carmenwood or is that Bristolwood?
That's a good question.
You can't remember either. You can't remember either. Well, to the east of it.
We built the Peak building, which is a double gym. We also added at that time our balcony in the sanctuary and our children's area. So all that was built in like 2010 or 11. So it's been there about 10 years.
Yeah, and for some of those who might be listening that vote in Flint Township, you've been in the Peak, because the Peak is where we hold our elections. It's one of our polling locations for 4 different precincts. So you know where we're talking about. And we appreciate you allowing the township to use that facility.
Oh, we're glad to have the township there, and we've been using it. A lot of people have come through. I don't know how many, probably over 10,000 have come through as a vaccination site this summer. Every Wednesday today going on right now, there's vaccinations taking place,
right? And that's something that
building.
People, that was one of the reasons why I bring you in, because you do so much for the community. You've been doing the vaccination site every Wednesday, and those are still continuing, right? You said going on a Wednesday. We're taping on a Wednesday, so everybody knows that when he's saying that they're doing it today. But also, you used out. Don't the Boys and Girls Club?
Yeah, we've partnered with the
well?
Boys and Girls Club. They meet every day. The summer, they have a summer camp there. That building is used a lot, and so that's been a great blessing to our community in many, many ways.
Yeah. Now, how did the COVID issues affect the church? You were shut down for a while.
Yeah,
right?
we were shut down for 3 months with in-service, in-building services. We were still doing online, which we still continue to do. But through that time, our church folks, they've been awesome. We've been able to minister in great ways, even in the midst of all this. Of course, we're a vaccination site. We're also a food distribution site on
Right.
Tuesdays and Fridays. People can come, free food, no questions asked, just get it. It's through the Farmers to Families program. I think we're Genesee County's largest food distributor. And so that's a wonderful thing.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. How would someone donate? Like, do you donate the food? Do you donate money? Is it canned? How would that?
Yeah,
if I wanted to donate, how would I do that?
The only donations, really, the government provides the food.
Okay.
Our church rents a big truck to go get the food every Tuesday and Friday. So we go and pick it up from the distribution site and bring it over. So the food is free. The only cost for our church is really renting the truck every week.
God, yeah.
So that's been...
And then do you accept volunteers to
Sure.
help?
Oh,
okay.
yeah. If anybody wants to help, they can show up on Tuesday or Friday.
What
It's usually
times?
about 10 o'clock is when they start, and the food is always gone by noon. We've given out well over 1 million pounds of food since July, like 1.5 million pounds of food.
That's so awesome.
That's amazing.
Now, I do know that your church also holds Celebration Recovery. Is that what it is, or used to?
Yeah, we've done Celebrate Recovery. We suspended that through COVID. Hopefully we'll get that started back up. One of the great things we did during COVID is we wiped out delinquent medical debt for about 7,200 families, $9.2 million worth of medical debt.
Wow.
That we were able to purchase for pennies on the dollar. But we did that, no strings attached. People got a letter saying that their medical debt, whatever that was, delinquent, that had been turned over to collectors, that we paid off. So we thought that was a great way to bless our community.
You have no idea how much that helps me in my business, because when we look at credit reports, oftentimes we've seen medical, and you're not required to pay those off, but it helps people's credit scores like crazy when those medical debt collections are gone. So,
Yeah, exactly.
well, thank you. We didn't even know we'd be working hand in hand, and look at how God works.
There you go. So we're almost at the end of our time. We got a few minutes left, but I wanted to talk about, you've been here 100 years. And what's the future looking like?
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, anything special coming up?
Yeah, we've got a lot of great things coming
All
up. We have 2 services. One that's led by choir. One that's led by our band. Our band-led service is getting a new worship leader. People in Flint may remember Joel Close, Joel and Erica, Flint residents. They've been in North Carolina for the last 12, 15 years. They're coming back to lead that service. And so that's going to be great. That we have an outdoor service on the 4th of July, which is a Sunday. We'll have, food and stuff. Of course, Vacation Bible School, those type of things. Labor Day, we're also doing outdoor service with food trucks. That's always great. And our big 100th anniversary celebration is November 21st.
Awesome. And where are you located?
We are on Bristol Road, right kind of kitty corner away from the old Baker College, and the factory is just down the road as well.
Right.
So
So they're on Bristol Road between Van Slyke and Fenton.
Right.
And they're on the south-hand side. They're right next door to, is it Central Church of Christ, right? Or
Bristol Road Church of
Bristol Road
Christ.
Church of Christ.
Yeah.
There. Sorry. I gave them the
Yeah,
wrong
both
name.
of us are together. We partner together with a food distribution as well. They have his ministry, and we help with that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming in, both of you, Dione and Pastor Rob. It's been very nice to hear all the great things that are going on in our community, and the sharing of resources to help out people that are in need. It's just wonderful to hear, and that's the type of good news we want to bring to our listeners. So thanks for coming in today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
I'd like to remind our listeners, if you want to email a question to us or a comment, you can email discoverflinttownship@gmail.com, or you can visit us on Facebook at Flint Township Events, FLINTTWPEVENTS. Our YouTube channel is Discover Flint Township. You can visit our web pages, discoverflinttownship.com or flinttownship.org. And I want to thank our great guests that we've had today. We had Dione, we had Pastor Rob, and we had Karrie, who's still here with me. Thanks, Karrie. And we want to thank our partners, HAP, Shea Automotive Group, Financial Plus Credit Union, Guaranteed Rate, and 103.9 The Fox. And discover Flint Township with us next Sunday when we're going to have Shea, someone from the Sloan Auto Fair, and Jill Maxwell from Maxwell Therapy. And this is Tracy Tucker from Flint Township, your Economic Enhancement Director. If you have any questions about properties in the township, feel free to contact me. And I would like to remind everyone to stay safe, stay healthy, shop local, buy local, and discover Flint Township. See you next week.
Equal housing lender subject to credit approval. Guaranteed Rate is not affiliated with any government agency. NMLS ID number 169474. Company NMLS ID number 2611. NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
This has been Discover Flint Township with Tracy Tucker. For more information, visit discoverflinttownship.com. Flint Township is ready for your next move. The preceding program was pre-recorded and was paid for by Discover Flint Township. The views expressed are those of Discover Flint Township and do not necessarily reflect the views of 103.9 The Fox or Krill Communications, Inc.